My name is Dietec, and over the last 6 months or so, I have not been doing very much in the way of computer modding, which is what I typically do. And the reason for that is because I was moving from my condo to a new house, moved into a new house. And that whole process took a little bit longer than I expected it to, so I just figured my first video back to YouTube should be something kind of cool, like showing you the transition from the old workshop that I was working with before to the new one that I'm working with now. So that's what this video is. So the workshop I was in before was actually my dad's workshop. I didn't have a place to do any modding myself because I lived in a condo without any kind of like basement or shed or anything like that. So I had to go back to my parents' house and use this detached structure here, this workshop that my dad has. I made it a mess. He also is a little bit messy, so that's why this is crazy. When you first walk in, there's a bunch of tools to the left and a bunch of paint and chemicals and whatnot to the right, and then you turn the corner and that's the main working area. It looks like a hot pile of crap right now because I actually started moving out before I filmed this. So it's usually not this messy, but it did get pretty messy, and you can kind of see the layout anyway. It was really tight quarters and it worked for the time, but I'm definitely glad to be moving into something a little bigger. I'm really grateful to my dad to allow me to work in there. I definitely have a lot of stuff, so he had to sacrifice some of his own space, and he didn't have to do that, so he's a good dude. I was actually looking at houses for months and months, and we found a whole bunch of them that would potentially be alright, but they had like basements that were kind of flooded or whatever, and I didn't really want a detached workshop because I would have to walk outside to go to my workshop. I don't know, that sounds kind of lame to me. And usually people are like, oh, whatever, it's a basement, you can just store things down there and it'll be fine as long as the rest of the house is fine, but I wanted to use it as a workshop, so that kind of made it a little bit harder to find a nice house because the basement had to be dry and nice, and luckily I found one. It's pretty standard, nothing special about it really. It's unfinished and it's just concrete and wood. I had some idea of what I wanted to do, what with mounting things on the wall, so I wanted to make kind of a wooden plywood wall just to, make things easier to mount onto instead of mounting it onto concrete. And I also wanted the walls to be white, so I used Drylock paint, which is like this, I think it's a vinyl paint, and you just paint it on the wall. It kind of plugs up all the little pores and everything that are in concrete, and it also just looks kind of nice. It makes it a little brighter in the basement because it's white, and so I am a fan of that. So I just drylocked this one little area and then mounted a plywood wall on it so that I could mount other things onto that wall, like computer stuff, basically. I put that waterproof tape on the back of those 2x4s because they weren't pressure treated wood, so they are susceptible to like rot and stuff if they get wet, so I just wanted there to be like a waterproof layer between them and the concrete just to kind of be safe, really. I just didn't want non-pressure treated wood touching concrete, so that's what I did. I don't know if that's completely necessary. Those of you that are doing construction can tell me if that's the right thing to do or not, but that's what I did, so no going back now, I guess. So I made this plywood wall, and I also made another wall underneath the staircase that goes up into the main house. It's definitely not the way that you actually make a wall. I'm not a construction worker, so those of you that are, again, can make fun of me if you want, but I just used kind of some brackets that I had laying around and put up these 2x4s. It's not meant to be load bearing or anything. I just wanted it to make kind of a little room behind it just for the cat poop because the basement is the perfect spot to put all of the cat poop, and I also didn't want to look at it, so I made a little room for it and it works a-okay. So besides all that, I just built a couple of workbenches and I put my desk down here, and I have a CNC workbench as well that I keep my CNC machine on, so lots and lots of table space, so much more than I had at my dad's house already. It's just, I don't even know what I'm gonna put on all of this workbench. It's just like an egregious amount of space, and I like it. And on the other side of the workshop, I just set up my computer desk where I play video games and edit videos and whatnot, and I set up a home lab. It's just server rack mounted on the wall. That's why I set up that plywood wall, and it's just a whole bunch of IT related stuff. I do IT for a living, so I mimicked my home network to be sort of like a small business network just so I can kind of practice skills that I need for my job. It's really nothing that exciting, but unless you're a nerd, of course, which I am, and so it's exciting to me. And I also had to set up like a storage area because this is the basement and that's where people store things. So to the left of the server rack, I hung some racks off of the ceiling, and so I store things on top top of those racks and under them, and I put some tapestries over them just to hide all of the crap that's behind them, because there is quite a lot of crap and it is ugly. And now here's a music montage to grace your face until I start talking again.
Getting stronger every day. Keep on pushing through the pain. Keep on running till we die. Ain't no mercy in this life. There's nowhere left to run away. No, there's nowhere left to run away, run away, run away, run
And this is my cat. Her name is Arya, named after Arya Stark from Game of Thrones, the slayer of spoilers. And she is in equal parts the sweetest and most beautiful and stupidest cat that I've ever known. And here is the final product. It needs to be organized a little bit more, but this is basically how the layout is going to stay for the duration of my living here, which I would assume is going to be quite a long time. On the right side is like the actual workshop area where I'm actually going to do all of the work, and on the left side is the chilling area where I edit videos and, play video games and sit on the couch. And to the far left wall there is just a washer and dryer and a storage area, so that's kind of like a work side. And then to the far right, the CNC machine and a table that I'd store all of my tools in, and the cat poop room. And that's it. That's the tour. It's a small room, so it was a quick tour. So I hope you found that at least a little bit interesting. If you're interested in PC modding related content, then I'm going to be making a lot more of that now that I have a workshop of my own. So subscribe to the channel if you want to, and join the channel as a member if you want to. That gives me a couple of dollars, and it gives you some weird little benefits if you are into that kind of thing. If you want to see Dietec related stuff in forms other than video, then check out the description for my website and my social media accounts like Instagram and whatnot. So yeah, I guess I will see you in the next couple videos, because now that I have this place, I can start making those again.